I'm going to go outside for a minute, she said. Smoke break. She added hastily, You don't smoke. She tied herself from the clumsy light as she made her way to the door. Josie passed a family of four without saying excuse me and stepped out into the cool evening. She walked to her car and sat on the hood, the metal denting slowly under her weight. She took in breaths of the cool air as if there were water and closed her eyes. You knew it would come up. You knew you would have to talk about it, she reminded herself. She had practiced on the drive here and forced herself to think back to happy memories. She would smile and say, Remember when? She thought she was prepared for this, but of course she had been wrong. Why else should she have run out of the restaurant like a child? Charlie? She opened her eyes and saw John standing next to the car, holding her jacket in front of him like an offering. You forgot your jacket, he said, and she smiled and she made herself a smile at him. Thanks, she said. She took it and draped it over her shoulders, then slid over the car's hood for him to sit. Sorry about that, she said. In the dim lights of the parking lot, she could still see him and blushed to the ears. He joined her on the car's hood, leaving a deliberate space between them. I haven't learned to think before I talk. I'm sorry. John watched the sky as a plane passed overhead. Charlie smiled, this time unforced. It's okay. I knew it was going to come up. It had to. It just sounds stupid. But I never think about it. I don't let myself. No one knows what happened except my aunt, and we never talk about it. Then I come here, and suddenly it's everywhere. I was just surprised, that's all. Uh-oh, John pointed, and Charlie saw Jessica and Carlton hesitate in the doorway of the diner. She waved them over, and they came. Remember that time at Freeze when the merry-go-round got stuck on Marla, and that mean kid Billy had to keep riding it until the parents plucked them off? Charlie said. John laughed, and the sun made her smile. Their faces were bright red, crying like babies. She covered her face, guilty that it was so funny to her. There was a brief surprised silence. Then Carlton started laughing. Then Marla puked all over him. Sweet justice, Charlie said. Actually, I think it was nachos. John added. Jessica wrinkled her nose. So gross. I never write it again. Not after that. Oh, come on, Jessica. They cleaned it, said Carlton. I'm pretty sure kids puked all over that place. Those wet floor signs aren't there for nothing, right, Charlie? Don't look at me, she said. I never puked. We used to spend so much time there. Privileges of knowing the owner's daughter, Jessica said, looking at Charlie with mock accusation. I couldn't help who my dad was, Charlie said, laughing. Jessica looked thoughtful for a moment before she continued. How could you have a better childhood than spending all day at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? I don't know, said Carlton. I think that music got to me over the years. He hummed a few bars of the familiar song. We're waiting every night to finally roam in and fight. Charlie dipped her head to it and recalled the tune. I love those animals so much, Jessica said suddenly. What's the proper term for them? Animals, robots, mascots? I think those are all accurate. Charlie leaned back. Well, anyway, I used to go and talk to the bunny. What was his name? Bonnie, Charlie said. Yeah, said Jessica. I used to complain to him about my parents. I always thought he has an understanding look about him. Carlton laughed. Animatronic therapy, recommended by 6 out of 7 crazy people. Shut up, Jessica retorted. I know he wasn't real. I just liked talking to him. Charlie smiled a little. I remember that, she said. Jessica in her prim little dresses, her brown hair, and a two tight braids like a little kid of an old book, walking out to the stage when the show was over, whispering earnest to the lifeless animatronic rabbit. If someone came up beside her, she went instantly silent and still waited for them to go away so she could resume her one-sided conversation. Shirley had never talked to the animals at her father's restaurant or felt close to them like some kids seemed to. Although she liked them, they belonged to the public. She had her own toys. Mechanical friends waited for her at home that belonged only to her. I liked Freddie, said John. He always seemed the most relatable. You know, there are a lot of things about my childhood that I can't remember at all, Carlton said, but I swear I can close my eyes and see every last detail of that place. Even the gum I used to stick under the tables. Gum? Yeah, right. Those were burgers. Jessica took a tiny step away from Carlton. He grinned. I was 7. What do you want? You all picked on me back then. Remember when Marla wrote Carlton smells like feet on the wall outside? You did smell like feet. Jessica laughed with a sudden outburst. Carlton shrugged and uninterrupted. I used to try to hide when it was time to go home. I wanted to be stuck in there overnight so I could have the whole place to myself. Yeah, you always kept everyone waiting, said John. And you always hide under the same table. Charlie spoke slowly, and when she did, everyone turned to her as though they had been waiting. Sometimes I feel like I remember every inch of it, like Carlton, she said, but sometimes it's like I hardly remember at all. It's all in pieces. Like, I remember the carousel and that time it got stuck. I remember joint in the placemats. I remember little things, eating that greasy pizza, hugging Freddie in the summer and his yellow fur getting stuck all over my clothes. But all of it is like pictures, like it happened to someone else. They're all looking at her oddly. Freddie was brown, right? Jessica looked to the others for confirmation. I guess you really don't remember it well after all, Colton teased Charlie, and she laughed briefly. Right, I meant Brown. She said Brown. Freddie was Brown. Of course he was. She could see him in her mind now, but somewhere in the depths of her recall, there was a flash of something else. Colton launched another story, and Charlie tried to turn her attention to him, but there was something disturbing, worrisome that the lapse in memory. It was 10 years ago. It's not like you got dementia at 17, she told herself, but it was such a basic detail to have misremembered. Out of the corner of her eye, she caught John looking at her, a pensive expression in his face as though she had something important. You really don't know what happened, she said. Colton with more urgency in her face than she intended. He stopped talking in surprise. Sorry, she said. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's okay, he said, but yeah, or no. I really don't know what happened. How can you not know? You live here. Charlie, come on, said John. It's not like I hang around that part of town. Things are different. The town has grown, Carlton said mildly, seemingly unruffled by her uppers. And I honestly don't look for reasons to go around there. You know, why would I? There isn't any reason, not anymore. We could go there, John said suddenly, and Charlie's heart skipped. Carlton looked nervously at Charlie. Wait, seriously? It's a mess. I don't know if we can even get to it. Charlie found herself nodding. She felt as though she had spent the whole day weighed down by memory, seeing everything through a filter of years, and now she felt suddenly alert. Her mind not fully present. She wanted to go. Let's do it, she said. You know there's something there? I want to see. They're all silent. Suddenly, John smiled with reckless confidence. Yeah, let's go. 16 days until the party.